Hello, everybody, and welcome to Madden and Benz Unfiltered. Tim Benz and Mark Madden with you, courtesy of Mike's Beer Bar on the North Shore. Check out Mike's for all of your Pittsburgh sports viewing pleasure. Steelers, Pitt, Pirates, whatever. The Pirates are done on the North Shore, but you should still go to Mike's whenever you can. Penguins coming up. Watch a lot of hockey at Mike's Beer Bar as well. They got 500 available craft beers. This is the middle of harvest season, pumpkin season, all those kind of beers are on tap and in the cooler at Mike's. Get a steak in the stone and enjoy yourself on the North Shore, just a stone's throw away from PNC Park. Mark Madden from 105.9 The X. You can also read him here at Trib Live. Myself, Breakfast with Benz. Steelers go on the road and they beat the New England Patriots. A rarity for the Steelers to win in Foxborough. But some familiar themes, Mark, present, even though the Steelers did get an odd win in Massachusetts.
Well, first off, Tim, I would much rather go to Mike's Beer Bar without the distraction of a crappy Pirates game. I like Mike's Beer Bar, although the steak on the stone, it's great. I've tried it. Next time, cook the steak for me. I'm not a kitchen
You can
worker.
do it that way. You can get them to make your steak for you. You don't have to do it on the stone. So you
It's
have
great
that option.
either way. But at any rate, the reviews pouring in for the Steelers' victory at New England, despite it being, like you said, Tim, an unusual occurrence, they're not good. Trey Essex said they should watch the film as if they lost. Chris Canny said that it was an awful win, I believe was his verbiage. And that's all true. They won the game because New England kept giving them the ball. I'm not sure if New England gave them the ball or the Steelers more took it. But at any rate, their 2 wins so far are by 2 points after a 60-yard field goal and by a meager 7 points after getting 5 takeaways. That is shaky ground, despite going 2-1.
And I'm not sure that they've faced, in fact, I don't think they have a playoff team yet, nor am I sure that they will do that until the middle part of the season, maybe until they face Green Bay. And geez, based on what just happened to Green Bay against Cleveland, I don't know what to expect out of them either.
Well, Tim, it's a real crappy league right now. You know, the limited preseason has made almost every team start out slow or inconsistent to some degree. LA Chargers being an exception. Boy, do they look good. Does Justin Herbert look good? And the Steelers got to play them, let's not forget. But, yeah, I mean, there's the crowd that says they're 2-1. Why ask why? Minnesota's going to ask why. Baltimore, Buffalo, the LA Chargers, Green Bay, they're all going to ask why. The Steelers have got to play better, and the coaching has to do a better job. I could run down a laundry list of indictments of the way the Steelers are coached, of how they underachieve, especially on defense. But the bottom line is the whole is not greater than the sum of the parts, nor is it even equal. That's what coaching's supposed to do, make the whole greater than the sum of the parts. And again, it's not even equal.
I'd argue that if you're looking for coaching and complaints about coaching, it's an inability right now to take advantage of other teams' weaknesses. And in fact, I'd say there were weaknesses that were apparent, that were obvious in the last 2 opponents, that were consistent too. Like with Christian Gonzalez out, with those Seahawk defensive backs out or injured that played, the Steelers should have had an easier job throwing the football, especially based on what we saw in week 1. I think they're paralyzed by fear to allow Aaron Rodgers to hold on to the ball for too long because they think he's going to get squashed. And as a result, they're dinking and dunking, and their receivers can't get loose and do much.
Yeah, exactly right, Tim. The stats Rodgers put up yesterday, Mason Rudolph could do that. 6 yards per passing attempt? That's bupkis. He got sacked 7 times the first 2 weeks. No times at New England, but that was because of his guile. And like you said, just getting the ball out quick, just dinking and dunking. So they paralyzed their own offense, even more so yesterday after they got ahead 14-0. They turned chicken and predictable, only 1 first down in their next 6 possessions. As I said, the whole ain't greater than the sum of the parts. And you talk about Christian Gonzalez being out. Another wasted game for DK Metcalf. Heck, the tight ends only caught 4 passes for, I think, under 30 yards. Jaylen Warren was the leading receiver with 5 catches for some meager total. Matt Canada got vilified for the same kind of offense we're seeing now from Arthur Smith, but that don't surprise me because megalomaniac Mike is the common denominator.
And I think Matt Canada infected the offensive coaching staff and Mike Vrabel for the New England Patriots on that last play call. I was talking about this in the DVE morning show with the guys, Mark, about what the Patriots did. They're running that hook route underneath the sticks, and apparently May put that on himself because he didn't remind the receiver to get beyond them. The receiver should know, A. B, if May doesn't think he's going to get there, don't throw it to him. Do something else. But C, don't call that play in the first place if that's an option. To have to throw it beneath the sticks on 4th and 1, get everybody beyond the sticks.
Yeah, that said, I like Drake May. And as I point out in my Trib column that's waiting to go up, the Steelers drafted Kenny Pickett. The Patriots drafted Drake May. The Patriots will be contenders again before the Steelers are. That's for sure.
And I'm still not convinced that they're getting a quarterback in this year's draft, despite what everybody says. I think they want to. I don't know that they're going to. And if they get somebody, I'm still waiting for one of these quarterbacks to blow me away as the guy. Everybody loves Mateer, the Oklahoma kid now, but if everybody wants him, he ain't going to be there if the Steelers are, wait for it, 9-8 again.
Wouldn't it be just like the Steelers to have the draft in Pittsburgh? They need a franchise quarterback desperately, and they pick somebody on defense.
Or another tight end.
And then all the yokels in attendance, all the marks, all the injuries. Defense, defense, defense.
Well, the way they're playing defense right now would lend to those chants. And the defense, I will disagree with you, Mark, to a certain point. You mentioned this in the podcast. You brought it up a little bit earlier. I do think that they should be credited more than New England should be blamed for those turnovers. I thought they scouted well. I thought they went after the right guys. And I thought they made plays, especially near the goal line, to take those balls away. But there were gaping holes still in the defense on those conversion downs. I mean, my God, between 4th and 3rd down, they gave up 10 conversions. Anytime they stopped them on 3rd, they just gave it up on 4th until that last 4th and 1 play.
I'm glad that Cam and TJ finally had good games and earned their bloated paychecks. And people are going nuts doing the I told you so stuff because I've been critical of them. Yeah, congratulations, guys, that you finally didn't steal your money. They did what they're supposed to do. And, hey, full credit, but they're supposed to do that. Maybe not every week. Those are pretty great games to have them every week, but more consistently than they have. Those two have played good each in one of 3 games.
Yeah, you can't do the I told you so routine when even the players themselves are admitting that the criticism was fair. Everything that was said about Hayward and Watt over the last 5 games of last season, bleeding through to this season, was fair. They just played better yesterday. It didn't mean the criticism was wrong. Like, that's a Twitter thing that's come around in the last 10, 20 years, that you can't criticize in the moment because eventually, somewhere down the way, people will keep receipts. But that doesn't mean the criticism was wrong when it was said.
Well, yeah, and the thing is, too, with both Watt and Hayward, I don't think it's unfair to say they got off to slow starts because of the distraction they created for themselves with their contract hassles, especially Hayward, who for the first time this year at New England didn't look fat, bloated, and slow.
I got to look at the snap counts for New England. I neglected to do that before we came on here, but I thought one thing the Steelers did well early in the game was go after that guy who replaced Gonzalez, who had troubles the week before. They found ways to get him isolated on bigger targets. He kept drawing penalties. I don't know if New England benched him after that or the Steelers just didn't exploit him enough after that, but one way of moving the ball was through penalties. That was something that I think the Steelers have seen done against them in the past with Joey Porter and some of his rough games. I was expecting them to continue to do that over and over again, but I don't know, maybe New England minimized him. I got to go back and look and see how often that guy actually played.
I'd kind of go bigger picture on that, Tim. I thought once they got ahead 14-0, they just put on the brakes. They made the offense chicken and predictable. I think they wanted to, like Tomlin always does, turn the game over to a defense that's incapable of holding a lead, which it didn't.
Yeah, you can't turn a game over to a defense that allows 71 plays to be run on offense.
No matter what Mike Tomlin wants, he cannot impose his will, his concept of the game being defense and keeping things tight on the league consistently enough to be good enough to win a division or win a playoff game. He can't. That's been proven for 8 years now. He can do it against weaker teams and get away with it. He did yesterday, almost didn't get away with it. But the league is about scoring more and faster. It's not about holding leads. It's about extending leads. And he just won't bow to that.
And I get what they were trying to do yesterday, because not only are they afraid of their own pass protection issues, but they were looking at New England's pass rush, which was number one in sacks in the National Football League coming in to this game. So, I get they were trying to defend against that with their own offense, but isn't that living in your fears? And by the way, a quick way to do that, they did it once and it worked again. First drive, step back, throw it down the line of scrimmage, let DK run after the catch. They did that well against the Jets. That seems hand in glove with the mentality. Why not involve them that way if you're paranoid about not trying to get it down the field to them?
Well, Tim, the bottom line is Tomlin is going to be the most overrated coach to ever go in the Hall of Fame. He's not a good coach. I mean, we could sit here and make this whole program about all the things he does poorly, and more succinctly, that nothing bad ever gets better. If he's a good coach, how come that O-line don't get better with a first-round pick in each tackle and a hillbilly phenom at center? If he's such a good coach and a defensive mind, how come that defense, with all that salary, all those names, is getting gashed constantly? Where is the evidence of him being the coach he's made out to be?
No, the last 14 years, 12 have happened and come and gone without a playoff victory. I think that's all you need to say. The stats bear it out.
Tim, no identity. That offense has zero identity besides Rodgers coming up clutch occasionally.
Mark, let's get to the Penguins before we get some comments. I'm seeing some Penguins questions already on our side rail here. So let's talk about them as the season approaches. And it's a bizarre season to wait for, because I feel like some of the players, namely Sid and the veterans that remain, still seem to be under the impression that they should be trying to win. They're not going to win enough to make the playoffs.
They have to try to win. That's their job, and they have too much pride to not. I get it. It would be a cleaner rebuild if those guys were all gone. I'm beginning to think more and more that trading Sid would be best for everybody.
Him too?
Maybe. I mean, if we're going to labor under the pretension we would find nobility in sneaking into the last playoff spot and getting throttled by Florida, then yeah, maybe.
I mean, it'd certainly be good for him in the sense they'd be playing meaningful hockey games again. And, in a weird way.
Yeah, Tim, in 1984, I was there. I wasn't longing for meaningful hockey games. I was longing for Mario Lemieux. And there's a Mario Lemieux available in this year's draft and a bunch of other potential star forwards too. So that's what I want. I'm looking at the bigger picture. I don't want the Penguins to be like the Steelers and just get embedded in that mushy middle. And by the way, no offense, Mario. McKenna's no Mario.
Well, no, he isn't. But where I was going with the thought initially is the push-pull that exists between desires on behalf of the older players to want to win as much as possible and the grander scheme of being honest and going into a rebuild.
Well, no, but Tim, my point is they should want to win as much as possible. I mean, they're professionals.
Well, I get it. The players should, sure.
Yeah. I mean, if there's fault anywhere, it's management for holding on to Raquel and Russ because Sid will get mad.
Well, I think the bigger push-pull, and this is what we talked about on the podcast, and I think it's a compelling conversation, is the money aspect. They got to make money this year. They didn't make any money last year.
Oh, that's true. Like I wrote in my trib column, in a vacuum, I think Dubas would trade Sid. But in the situation the Penguins face, they got to sell tickets. They got to keep interest. It's just a stink sandwich, Tim, is what it is. And I know that they're, quote unquote, rebuilding and not trying to split the difference between that and contending. As long as Sid and Gino and Letang and even Rust and Raquel are still there, they are splitting that difference. It's not 50-50, but they are still splitting it.
Well, whether they stink to high heaven and get in the lottery, they still have a small chance of getting McKenna. Okay, it's a small chance. It's a lottery, right? So if they don't get him, I feel like whoever they get, if it is a top 5 guy, that's the next sell, unless they bring up all 3 of the first rounders together as a package at once. And they probably shouldn't do that because I think they're all on different timelines.
Yeah, the timeline has to be organic. It can't be rushed. It's like I see people on Twitter saying, well, let's see how Murashov can do, the goalie, who really does look like a franchise goalie. Early returns, to be sure. You can't do that. Goalie's one position where you can scar a guy by bringing him up too early and getting him shot full of holes. They've got to play this as it presents itself organically.
Do you think that happened with Blomqvist, or does Blomqvist just not have an NHL ceiling?
I'm not sure. I'm not dismissing the possibility he came up too early last year and paid a mental price for it. I mean, you'd like the goalie to be made of sterner stuff, if you can get whacked even a bit mentally by such a small sample.
Well, remember what defense, whoever the goalie is, whether it's Jari or one of the guys everybody wants to see, the defense they're playing behind could scar them. You could put Grant Fuhr in his prime back there, and he might be scarred.
Yeah, that's the thing people are ignoring, maybe even us a little bit in this conversation, Tim. They do have the potential to put together 3 decent forward lines, okay? With the defense, even their good defensemen are awful.
Well, yeah, just because the good defensemen are offensively oriented. They don't think about defense. What makes them good is what they can do beyond the other blue line, and that's the problem.
You know who I really want to see make the team, and I bet he don't? Jack St. Ivany. Okay, you got a bunch of crappy defensemen, right? Why not keep one of the crappy defensemen who, when Sid was getting beat on last year, left the bench, thankfully undetected, he would have got suspended, left the bench to defend Sid? Why? And I think he got scratched the next game. Why don't we reward something like that?
I'm with you. I mean, especially given the circumstances of the team and where they are.
That's why Sully's going to fail in New York, if you ask me.
Hold on. Just quick aside, quick timeout. Were you confused and scratching your head over Miller becoming the captain like I was? That was a weird pick in New York, wasn't it?
Well, first of all, let me finish the first thought. I think Sully's going to fail in New York because he's so embedded in how he wants to do things that he ignores the truth of the game sometimes, which is that sometimes you got to stick up for your guys. Sometimes you got to do stuff you'd not prefer. Sometimes you got to not just play. But yeah, JT Miller, I love it. I'm a big fan of it. Giving him the captaincy in New York after he got ran out of Vancouver because he bullied a teammate, Tim, that is either inspired and will bring out the best in JT's intensity, or it will turn out to be like handing a chimpanzee high explosives.
Yeah, I mean, exactly. That's what I was thinking too. This could go Wile E. Coyote in a real hurry there for them.
Yeah, but if Wile E. Coyote could push another coyote off the ledge.
Or into the tunnel with the oncoming train.
Right, exactly.
I thought it was going to be Trocheck. Wouldn't that make more sense?
I think Trocheck's the JT whisperer.
There might be some truth to that. Yeah. Well, they wouldn't play together.
I really think they're doing it for JT as much as they are for the team, maybe more so. Trying to focus and stabilize that nutty streak.
Mark, I don't want to spend much time on the Pirates, so I'm just going to do one Pirate question. A guy says, what do we think is going to happen with Ben Cherington? It depends on which narrative you want to believe, I guess, what's going to happen with Ben Cherington now that the season is just about over.
It doesn't make any difference. Okay, Cherington is doing the devil's handiwork. Okay, he's bad at development, bad at drafting, bad at trading, bad at a lot of things, but that's not a concern of the owner. The owner just wants to keep finances close to the vest. If they fire Cherington, they'll just bring in the next Cherington. And the key is if Cherington has any time left on his contract, because Nutting will not fire Cherington and then pay him to not work.
See, there was, this thing going around with those who are constantly trying to speak the Pirates' relevance into existence in August when they were playing pretty decent baseball, that all they needed was another bat or two and they'd be in contention. I feel like I hear that every year. And then when September rolled around, don't worry about the September results because September baseball is silly season and there's nothing to be gleaned from it. Well, they were eliminated in August too. So which one are we supposed to believe?
Oh yeah,
here?
like they went crazy when they swept LA, and since then I think they've won 3 of 15.
Something like that. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, it's just the true believers for the Pirates always come up with a way to invent optimism, but they're still going to stink. Here's a question I'm bringing up on my show. If Skeens isn't the MVP, let's eliminate him from the conversation, right?
Mm-hmm.
And by the way, if he wants to definitely win the Cy Young, he better win or get a no decision in his last start. If he finishes the season 10-11, he goes from a lock to very probable. Now, very probable still means he probably gets it, but you see what I mean. But if Skeens isn't the team MVP, Tim, who is?
Tommy Pham.
Right, who couldn't see the first 2 months, who was legally blind. Okay, is it like, I don't know.
Is he as blind as Pirate fans who think that next year is going to be different?
Is it Roberto Clemente Jr.? Is it the guy who fell out of the stands? By the way, Tim, kind of an odd choice. I'm glad the guy's okay. That the guy fell from the stands to the field, narrowly avoided grievous injury. In fact, was hurt. And then they brought him back to throw out the first pitch. That's an odd choice, isn't it?
I like the other one better. I like the Jack Wilson thing better. I was a big fan of his when he was a player.
Me
here.
too.
I like Jack.
I was a big Jack Wilson fan for sure. Having his kid, having him throw it. Wait, yeah, he threw his kid.
He threw it to his kid,
time, right?
Yeah, that
was really cool. I'm a big fan of Jack and his kid.
That was such a nice sentimental thing. I thought he was going to wind up playing goal for the Penguins in an exhibition game.
Tim, I have tickets to see Michael Schenker in Chicago Saturday.
Yeah, but you're going to boot him to come back and see Fleury, right?
I don't know. I've been thinking about it. I'm going to see Schenker Tuesday, Thursday, Friday, Saturday, which upon further review is ridiculous. But haven't I said goodbye to Fleury enough?
Well, that's what Sid said.
Yeah, I said goodbye when he left the Penguins. I said goodbye after he came here with Minnesota. Mark, stay away. Call me anytime. I'll do anything for you. I love you. But how many more times, to quote Led Zeppelin?
Alex says, is Cam owed an apology for his performance yesterday? Many were suggesting so for saving 14 points. No, he's not owed an apology. He played better.
Yeah, what does that even mean? The Steelers owe all of us an apology for not making the playoffs for 8 straight years. That defense owes all of us an apology for allowing almost 400 yards per game 3 games into the season. And Tim, let's not forget, those were against teams that don't exactly light it up offensively.
Again, that goes back to the point that I made earlier in the live stream here. The analysis was not wrong about Cam and Watt not playing well to start the season or end last season. They played better yesterday and they won. Go figure. They're 2 of the highest paid guys in the team. That's how it should work. I don't think they're owed an apology for people saying things that were right about them up until this point.
Tim, they can go screw.
Eric says, why can't this defense make a stop on 3rd down, even 3rd and long? It's almost a guarantee the opposition will convert. You know what I thought of that, Mark? And this is a point you've made quite a bit, and it's a good one. When you get a sack on 1st and 2nd down, it doesn't mean anything until you stop him on 3rd down.
Right.
Watt had that really good play, that really good sack, and then they just converted the 3rd and 16. So it's like it never happened.
Yeah, right. Tim, I'm ahead of the curve when it comes to analysis of all sports. And to repeat, in today's NFL, where it's so easy to get yards back, sacks on 1st and 2nd down aren't quite meaningless, but not far from.
Ron says the Bungles are back. Yeah, they were bad against Minnesota. Minnesota put up 48 points. 2 of them were defensive touchdowns. But in a weird way, I wonder if, like to our previous conversation, Mark, that sort of scares Tomlin into playing even more conservative because the Vikings have a splash play defense.
I don't know if Dipstick there should be making fun of the Bengals when Minnesota just killed them and the Steelers got to play Minnesota in Dublin on Sunday. Tim, I think the Vikings are going to beat the Steelers so bad that by the end of the 3rd quarter, the Roonies will be denying they're Irish.
Mark says any road win in the NFL is worth gold. Style points are irrelevant, being objective. Yeah, it's not about style points. It's about issues that are present that are going to prevent them from the ultimate goal, which I thought was to win a playoff game this year for a change.
They ain't winning no playoff game.
No, I don't think they are either. But if this guy's asking, if I love this because
listen, if all you idiots out there, and you are all idiots, if you want to find out some way to invent optimism that this is a legitimately good team, you go right ahead and do that. It'll make my laughter all the louder when what I knew was always going to happen happens again.
Well, look, when Hunter Henry looks like Rob Gronkowski, like when the Steelers usually went up to Gillette Stadium, and is lighting them up for 90 yards and 2 TDs. By the way, the last time he had 2 touchdowns against Pittsburgh in 2018 from Bailey Zappi or whoever it was back then. Well, it was 2 years ago. My bad. But at any rate, he scored 2 touchdowns against him, right? That's the last time he's had a multi-TD game. So I'm pointing this out on Twitter, and I get back 2 hours later, some guy saying W. Okay. I mean, like, if the win and the loss is the only thing that matters, why are you even on Twitter? Why are you reading? Why are you listening? Just look at the box score if you don't want any context to it.
They're headed to crap again. I knew it before the season started. Everything that's happening now has confirmed they're heading to crap again. And now they're heading to Dublin to get killed by a backup quarterback and a great receiver and a better coach. And a defensive coordinator they should have kept as their defensive coordinator instead of keeping Terrell Austin around to be Tomlin's lackey and ride herd over an underachieving defense that makes way too much money.
Brian says the way Tomlin coaches, everything has to go right for them to win close games. This week, they won the turnover battle. Last week, they didn't. It's razor thin, 9-8. That's a real good point. When you coach to the middle, then you're relying on the luck of the draw.
But I think he was more comfortable at 14-14 than he was when they led 14-0.
I think there's some truth to that. And I think part of that is because he's got a good field goal kicker, so he thinks that's the ultimate.
But he wants to put the games in the hand of a defense that have proven it's incapable of maintaining a lead.
You know what's funny is
he's just a bad coach. How many times does he have to coach bad before somebody says he's a bad coach?
The funny thing is, Mark, the only time I can remember him not being in that state of mind is when they used to play the Ravens, and it was, very similar rosters, and the Ravens had Tucker. And he thought that was the ultimate difference maker, so they felt like they needed to get in front and play from in front.
You know what it makes me think of, Tim? I hate to use a hockey analogy. 2021 playoffs against the Rangers. Penguins are up 2-1. It's game 4 at the arena at PPG. They're ahead 4-1. They blow the lead, 4-4. Danton Heinen scores with 9 minutes left. And the rest of the game, the Penguins trap and cycle and see the game out with 2 empty netters, right? Sullivan hated that so much, and the players hated that so much, they never did it again. And that's despite having leads of 1 or 2 goals in each of the next 3 games. It worked. We're never going to do it again. This is the way we play, and now we're going home.
Craig says, so you guys say they can't protect Rodgers, but then criticize them for trying to keep Rodgers from getting killed. Pick one. No, you're not. Don't do that. Don't do that, because that's not what we're doing.
That's not what I'm doing, for sure.
What we're doing is we're telling you why they were within 1 score of a team that gave them the football 5 times, because they're playing that way. That's why this game was close.
Here's what I'm saying. I'm saying I don't care if Aaron Rodgers lives or dies. I want him to go out there and play like Aaron Rodgers, as good as he can, as long as he can. And if he gets hurt, then we'll put in Mason Rudolph until Rodgers is healthy again. There is no chance of accomplishment with Rodgers turning into Duck. There is no chance of accomplishment with Rodgers playing the way that Rudolph could.
I lost it in here, but there was someone who asked about the show in Vegas and how Vince Neil did and how Motley Crue was.
Vince was fine. He's recovered from a stroke, and they're all old. But, yeah, Vince was real good. The band was excellent. I mean, Six and Lee are the best rhythm section in rock in their old age. And nobody has more fun than Tommy Lee. So, yeah, I enjoyed it a great deal. Vince appeared to get a bit tired as the show went on. But he did fine. His range was there. His range was there. He sometimes eliminates a syllable here and there, a word here and there. What I always say they should do is, Dr. Feelgood, one of their big hits, right?
Mm-hmm.
You got to sing that like a machine gun. It's like, like burp, 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 burp. Play that one early.
Because it's...
While he's still fresh.
Oh, okay. All right. I'm not... Because, do you play it early, then exhaust him, though? Is that the problem?
I'd take my chances.
Okay.
Again, no critique. They were really good. And you know what they did that was great for the opening 2 songs was they're on this huge stage at Park MGM, right? With, the wings that, go out in the crowd and they get lifted at the end of 5 and 6. But for the first 2 songs, which are off the first album, namely Too Fast for Love and Livewire, they're crammed into a little mini stage in one corner of the big stage that looks like a club in LA back when, with like a bedsheet Motley Crue banner behind them. And they're playing the 2 original big songs. That was pretty cool.
Mark is back on today. I'm on for Mark on Tuesday and Thursday. He's going to see UFO, and then we'll figure out.
No, Michael Schenker.
Michael Schenker from UFO.
Of UFO, right.
and then we'll figure out if it's Fleury time or if it's more Schenker over the
If I had to
weekend.
bet right now, Tim, I'm going to be too hot, baby, too hot to handle.
This is Madden Benz Unfiltered, and it's brought to you by Mike's Beer Bar on the North Shore. Go to Mike's on the North Shore. Meet me at Mike's.